few weeks ago, I was teaching my eldest son about money. It was an exercise, some homework that my school was given to teach concept of money. They were using play money and play coins. And all I kept thinking to myself was, when was the last time that I ever used cash to pay for anything? And that really was the genesis of a much larger exploration into the disconnect that I sometimes feel between what my sons are learning and the way that we are living, working, and playing today. So I wanted to have a bit of a frank conversation about some of the anxiety that I'm feeling about my inability to prepare my children for the future that is coming our way, based on some of the things that I'm seeing as a lawyer practicing at the intersection of business, law, and technology. And specifically, I want to talk about artificial intelligence, and I also want to talk about how our schools, and frankly, our societal institutions, they're just not doing the job they need to be doing. We don't talk about cryptocurrency. We don't talk about privacy and how data is going to become so valuable. It's all missing. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, and the more I keep thinking about it, the more scared I get. I wish I had learned at an early age how to run a business more effectively. Because again, one of the biggest things that I learned in business is the idea that technology and grades, whatnot, it's no substitute for learning how to communicate and learning how to build relationships. But most importantly, I think that more recently, when I look at today's world, I see the emergence of artificial intelligence that's pretty much going to decimate so many aspects of our communities that we're just simply not ready for it. So without further ado, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about three aspects. One is what I'm seeing from businesses when it comes to artificial intelligence. I'm going to then talk about the future of the employment market. And then I'm going to conclude with what's potential steps we can think about when it comes to addressing all of this. To start off with the future economy and AI. So right now, I've been leveraging AI for the last couple of years, doing a lot more with a lot less than most other firms can do. More recently, there's the emergence of this thing called AI agents.
Agents are when you give it a request and they can work indefinitely until they achieve a goal or they run into an error and they need your help. It's an AI bot that has access to tools. Those tools are access to a web browser like Operator, access to a programming environment, say like Replit, access to credit cards. The more tools you give the agent, the more powerful it is. Of course, there's all these considerations around security and safety and all of that stuff. But the most important thing is that AI agent will determine when it's finished executing. Today, AI agents can run for anywhere between 30 seconds to 30 minutes. There's a recent paper that came out that's showing that every 7 months, the number of minutes that the agent can run for is doubling. So we're at like 30 minutes now. In 7 months, we're going to be at an hour, then 2 hours. Pretty soon, we're going to be at days. And at that point, AI agent is doing labor, is doing kind of human-like labor. And actually, OpenAI's new model, O3, beat the expectation. So it sort of doubled coherence over long horizon tasks in just 3 or 4 months. So we're in this massive, and I mean, this exponential graph, that shows you the massive trend we're on.
If you think about economies of scale, and if you think about the pace and change of technology, if you extrapolate it, there is a potential that as soon as a year or 2 years, you're going to see AI agents be able to work for 8 hours a day for maybe like $20 to $25 for that day. And when AI and when you have these tools that can do that work, there's no incentive for companies to hire anymore. And I think that's the starting point of a really scary conversation. Once businesses understand how to leverage that technology, it's going to become really, really hard for low-level staff to justify their position because they're being compared to an AI tool that can do the same work for less money. It's going to lead to decimation of a lot of initial jobs. And that means that the first jobs that my children will be looking for those jobs are going to be scarce, and they're only going to be available with companies that don't have or haven't mastered this sort of AI technology. That in and of itself is super scary. That my children, they can go into school, they're going to universities, and they will go into a job market and they're applying for jobs, and the jobs that they can find, they're either too junior or the jobs aren't paying a livable wage. Huge problem. What about existing employees? Well, what I'm really worried about is that companies that master this sort of technology, they're going to be incentivized to replace workers with these AI tools. And again, on the pretext that this AI tool can do your job, justify what you can do. And what I'm scared about is that these companies are going to be taking these decisions not because they think that the AI tool is actually better, but because they think that AI is a magical bullet for everything, and it's not. Artificial intelligence is an example of the idea of garbage in, garbage out. It's only as good as how it is used. And too many companies don't know how to use their tools effectively. I really do believe that AI, if used effectively, can enhance productivity, but in the same way that dynamite was invented by Alfred Nobel, same way that Oppenheimer created the nuclear bomb, like all technology is neutral. How it's used makes it good or bad or whatever, right? And that's the same thing with AI. And so my fear is that AI is a lot of business owners who don't have the competence in AI are going to see it as a magical bullet, just use it as a justification for layoffs. And then once the layoffs happen, those people laid off are going to have a really tough time in finding a job because A, those jobs are much more limited, or B, when they're looking for those jobs, they've got to understand how to beat an AI filter. What do I mean by that? Today, a lot of companies use artificial intelligence as a way to filter out the amount of resumes and applications they get. And so you could have somebody who is unable to get a senior position that reflects his success and results, all because he doesn't have a university degree. Because from the AI filter perspective, yes, you have done some incredible work. Yes, the results have been off the chart, but because you don't have a university degree, you cannot be successful. So it's things like this that I've been really thinking about and trying to understand if this is the reality that my children are going to be growing up in. What are the things that I can do to prepare them for it? And the truth is, I can't. And I think that's really disquieting. Our educational system is really built on a set of assumptions built in the post-World War II consensus, where you've got the 9-to-5 job, you're getting paid an hourly wage, and blah, blah, blah. That's not in the same way that we no longer run on cash money. We no longer run on the hourly wage. We run on the idea that successful businesses find opportunities and know how to exploit those opportunities. That's how successful businesses make money right now. And our school system doesn't train for that. In the same way that our school system might teach kids how to save money, it's not going to teach our kids how to earn money. And I've been really contemplating whether I should be taking kids out of school and focus on teaching them more different stuff. Because school's not preparing them for the world, what is its value? And it's because of these questions that I'm building out a scenario-based learning program called Lemonade Literacy. Lemonade Literacy is built on our version of the ABCs. The anxiety that parents like me feel about our inability to prepare kids for the future of work, the belief that scenario-based learning can in fact teach children really complex ideas by giving them exposure and the ability to fail under a risk-free, safe environment. And then the commitment to provide parents and teachers with the activities and resources to help cultivate a mindset that's tailored to the new way of doing things. Because at the end of the day, if my children can grasp some of the ideas and tools that I only learned later in life. And if they could grasp these things, I don't know, when they're 12, 13, 14, they would be much better prepared for the way that our world is going to be working than if they didn't have access to those opportunities. So if that sounds interesting, exciting for you, I invite you to participate in limited literacy. So again, if this is of interest to you, feel free to subscribe to our mailing list on our website, and we'll let you know when we launch.